Hello everyone. Today's video, we think it's awesome, wonderful, and it's definitely something that will enhance your piloting game. That is VATSIM. We've taken a look at VATSIM in the past. Today we thought we'd revisit that just to kind of show people some of the things that have changed as well as give you an opportunity to realize that it's not nearly as bad as how people often think that it kind of is. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to join VATSIM. I already got my account all kind of pre-squared away and everything like that. It's going to take you over to my VATSIM. I'm going to go ahead and hide that real quickly there so that you can't see it in case anything sensitive comes up. When that pops up, of course, it's going to give you this lovely screen, which is going to basically kind of show you all different things. The time, says how many people are flying, it says hello to me. I appreciate that kind of a thing like that. Now, one of the things you have to do before you can join VATSIM is there's a couple little quizzes that will basically ask you some information. Those quizzes are pretty easy. Like I said, they've got that great pilot training, and there are people who are willing to help you. You can go back and watch videos on these things. All that stuff is there. Look through the policies. The key thing you have to know about VATSIM, though, is they're volunteers. They're not getting paid for this, which means two things. First of all, they're giving up their time to allow us to have a little bit of authenticity. Second thing is respect all around, folks. Again, they're not perfect. I'm not perfect. And again, do what they can. They do the best they can with what they have. And some of them are real-world controllers, too. So they're going to know their way. But in general, I think what you'll find is that they're much more forgiving than you probably thought they were. So now that that's all taken care of, you're going to want to get yourself another thing. And that's going to be vPilot. vPilot is a nice little tool which takes your flight sim, connects to VATSIM, and allows you to actually go back and forth. It's a free tool. The installation on this thing couldn't be easier. You go to download, you download it, and you install it, and you're good to go. After you've installed it, of course, there's a couple little things that you're going to have to do to make sure everything's working okay. One thing you're going to do, of course, is you're going to have to make sure that your settings are set. Now, there's a couple different settings you have to get right here. One thing you're going to have to put in your ID, you're going to have to put in your password, your name. The name is important because it basically allows people to basically know what's going on here. But importantly, you have to set up your push-to-talk button. Your push-to-talk button is going to be the button you're going to use in order to actually transmit to the other airplanes around you. So it's very important that you have that set. Now, if we go over to audio, you'll notice I've also taken a few moments here to get my microphone device as well as my output device as well. The realistic ATC audio effects, a lot of people actually disable these because they find them a little bit annoying. I don't know. I kind of like them. I would have used my real-world aviation headset for some of this as well, but I chose not to because it makes it a little bit difficult. By the way, a quick pro tip, under miscellaneous, there's this thing that you can automatically squawk mode C. This is really important because it lets other people around you know that you're there. Ready? Of course, you press OK. Now, this is important, and this is one of the biggest takeaways, and what I'll do real quick, let's climb back inside the airplane so it's a little bit quieter for us. One of the important things is, inside of VATSIM, it doesn't matter if you're working at an uncontrolled airport, which is where I am today, or you're working at a controlled airport. You always want to file a flight plan. Now, flight plans are interesting. When you file them, especially for what we're going to do today, which is basically going to be to kind of tool around this little airport here, which is Windham, Connecticut. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take a few minutes to hit that flight plan button. Now, when you do that, it's going to bring up something that looks like this. Now, this little flight plan here is pretty darn wild. There's a new version. And you can actually hit the new version thing here, and I give a kind of whirl at the new one. Like I said, it's all pretty simple here. But what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to identify a call sign. I like to use Red 64 myself. Obviously, if you're a virtual airline, you're going to do something different here. Flight rules are going to be visual. Aircraft type, you're going to have to find out what kind of aircraft you're flying. Now, one of the cool things here is if you actually hit the connect button, nothing bad will happen. You can actually come in here for type code, and if I, for example, were to type in B60, you'll see what it actually will do is try to recognize it. So if I do Beechcraft 60, for example, this is Sing Air, we need a Duke. Let's try doing a search for that. And you can actually get the ICAO code. So I need a BE60 for my particular aircraft. Now, if I come back over here, I can do BE60, just like that. Weight category, it's light, or less than 7,000 kilograms. Equipment, if you're not sure about this, we're just S because we have no GPS on board. So I'm just going to use an S. Transponder code, again, we can skip this one. Again, this would be if you need it. L's fine. Like I said, departure. What I like to do is Wyndham, and what a lot of people will do is they will actually set their arrival as ZZZZ. And that's simply your way of saying, hey, we're not actually going anywhere. We're just flying around, but just be advised of that. So we can come in here and dial in the time, which is convenient for us because at the top of the screen is right there. So off block is going to be 1330. I'll keep it nice and simple. Altitude, again, not really relevant here. I'll do 1,300 feet. Airspeed, again, not really relevant. I will do about 150 there. And again, all those other components on here. If I want to say fuel endurance, we've got about 4 hours of fuel on board. Now, when it comes down to route details, this is where you'd be writing in all your individual waypoints. That's not something we're going to do today, only on account of the fact that we'll do that in the next flight. This is just the, hey, I just downloaded the thing, I just installed it, I want to do a flight, let's give it a try. There's a bunch of other details here. I wouldn't panic about any of this. However, if you come down here, you can actually just write in what you're doing. In my case, it is closed traffic. Now let me pause for a second. Now, one of the things you probably learned from taking that little quiz on VATSIM is the importance of airspaces and who you have to talk to. Now, Wyndham here, as you'll notice, is not a controlled airspace, which is one of the reasons that I chose it today, because it simplifies things for us a little bit. We'll do some more sophisticated stuff in the next video. What you'll notice here is we've got a lovely Wyndham, Connecticut, so there's no special air bases or any, well, that would be bad, airspaces around it or anything. But you'll notice that there is a frequency we now need to use to communicate everybody around us what our intentions are. And that is the CTAF. That's the Common Traffic Advisory Frequency. Now, if I were going to Bradley, we'd have to talk to Tower, or in more extreme cases, we'd have to actually talk to Approach, which is a different issue. But again, we'll deal with that in another video. So we have here Wyndham. We know that our common traffic frequency is 122.975. That is going to be the frequency that we have to use. Now, let me clarify my statement even harder here. If I were to open up the actual VATSIM radar today, you will notice that the airspace that we exist in is actually right next to PVD Approach here. There is an active controller here. Now, this is where people get all panicky when they start thinking about VATSIM. They go, oh God, I can't do this. There's an actual controller. They might hear me. It's okay, because remember, we're going to be working in a very small piece of space that is not controlled by a tower. And remember, we filed the flight plan, so when they look at our flight plan and see that it's got 4 Z's on it and they see closed traffic, they're going to know that doesn't really apply to them. Now, where this gets a little more complicated, and that will be for another video later on, is if we do want to operate in this airspace that is at a control tower, we would have to talk to these folks. And again, they're very normal, very nice folks, and we will definitely get there. I just want to make sure that you're aware that we're okay at this particular time. So let's go drive our Duke here, Beach 60. Again, I'm not going to press connect yet because we've not had a chance to finish our flight plan. All right, closed traffic. Now, this is where everybody gets scared. Deep breath in, deep breath out, file plan. It's going to give you some errors. All right, route is entered. Off block must be entered in 4 columns. That was my bad. 1330, just like that. Route details, I can say DCT, which simply means direct. We'll try that again. And en route time must be entered. We got to do en route time. We'll keep this nice and simple. We'll just do 5 minutes en route time. My apologies. All right, so we press file. The flight plan is filed. That's it. All we're doing today is flying around the traffic pattern, playing around with the radio a little bit. That's all that we're going to do. This is done. Now this is the part where everybody needs to take a deep breath. Now we head back over to vPilot here. Obviously be inside the flight sim here. We're going to press connect. Double check to make sure your call sign is the same that it was before. Make sure your code is correct. Remember, it's a Beechcraft 60. Again, we have Beechcraft 60 Duke. We have no cell cal. We're not going to worry about that. Now, if you had 2 pilots in the plane at once, you could connect in observer mode. Actually, observer mode is awesome because when you connect in observer mode, you're not in the world, so you can listen and practice. It's kind of cool. I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to press the connect button. When you do that, it's going to jump onto the server, and I hate to say this, it just got real. A deep breath in, deep breath out. Don't panic. At this time, you are on the VATSIM network. Now, of course, the cool thing here is if I were to open this up real fast here, this is going to be interesting. It's going to take a few minutes here, but do you notice that this is this little line right here? We can actually see us on the ground here. We can see here that we're Beechcraft 60S. You can see our code there. You can see we're hanging out down here at this place. And again, nobody's going to bother us, but we are on the actual VATSIM system. I told you it would get a little scary for a second there, but again, don't worry. We're perfectly fine where we are. We'll go ahead and grab that and go put that on my other tab. So if we need to, we can always come back. So now we're going to have to deal with the communications here. And unfortunately, the way that they designed this, let me see, does it work that way? It does not stay on top. That's okay, though. We now need to set our frequency to that frequency we saw on SkyVector. So if we open up SkyVector again, there's our 122.975. That will be the frequency that we're going to use. Remember, we're on their network right now, but it's just going to be us. So I'm going to pull this aside real quickly here, and we'll go set up our radios. Let's go ahead, 122.975 here. I'm going to go ahead, 975, just like that. Looks good to me. And now we're going to press the swap button. Now, if you take a look over here, if I jump back over here, you'll notice in vPilot that this turned blue, and this is 122.975, and has this little ticks and ricks. TX means transmit, RX means receive. The other thing you'll notice here, too, is it'll let you know who all the local controllers are. There's actually New York Center on right now. Very cool guy, south and west of us. It does, like I said, does not apply to us, so I don't have to worry about that. And obviously, PVD approach is over to our right. We'll deal with them in another video kind of thing. But taking a look here, you can see I've got my frequency set. You can see I'm ready to go. Now, this is what I like to do. Since I'm on a local CTAF frequency, again, not a tower or anything like that, I can hit my transmit button high, and you can see that the transmit light came off. You just made your first communication to VATSIM if you're basically following along with us here. And that's perfectly fine. Like I said, there's no consequence to what we just did there because, like I said, nobody's on this frequency. Obviously, I do things a little differently if there are other people kind of hanging around. But I just want to make sure that's as simple as that. All right, now, here's where things get interesting. You have to do things correctly now. And I know that sounds like kind of obvious sort of a deal, but the reality is that now you actually have to use proper communication for your particular place. Since we're at an uncontrolled airport, it gives us a little much easier of a time for the purposes of this. We basically just need to announce that where we're going. We just need to let people know if we're taking off and our pattern stuff. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and address our traffic, which in this case is going to be Wyndham traffic. You can see there's some nasty low clouds today. I'm not too worried about that, though. Like I said, they can't see the clouds we're about to fly through. But remember, this is always going to be real-world weather in time, no matter what you're hoping for. So we're going to go ahead and announce our intentions. So it's going to be Wyndham traffic. Red 64 is taxiing to runway 27 via Alpha. Now, of course, you can practice that. You can write that down, anything you want. But when you're ready to actually say it, you just go ahead and hold down the button, wait half a second, say your thing, and then release the button. Let's see if we can do this here. Wyndham traffic, Red 64 is type Beechcraft 60, is taxiing to runway 27 via Alpha Wyndham. And that's it. We've done everything we're supposed to do. We've let everybody know who we are. We've let everybody know what we're doing. And now we're just going to go ahead and get the party rolling. Now, when you're doing things on VATSIM, if you're the kind of person who likes to kind of take shortcuts, and I call it often the lazy way, this is not the time to do that. This is the time to do everything perfectly. You want to go take your time on the taxiway, so you want to be very specific. You want to really take your time and make sure that you're not going to run anybody over. Remember, at an uncontrolled airport, it's a little like the Wild West. Now, if you're actual Wyndham, I can't tell you how many times I've come for landing here, I'm saying in the real world, and gotten a bit of a nasty surprise by like 15 gliders all stacked up on the grass, kind of a thing like that. Now remember, this is your first time. So everything you're doing here, I would actually practice outside of VATSIM before you jump in. But again, you have nothing to worry about. You're on the servers. You're actually moving. If I were to grab my little radar there, you could see there we are. We're actually taxiing. That's us. We're on the VATSIM network, basically cruising along here. I'll actually leave that in another window so we can just kind of leave that open. So everything just got real, so to speak. Now, one of the cool things, of course, is because you're on a virtual network, if something goes wrong, you get disconnected, you got disconnected. It's not catastrophic or anything along those lines. So you don't have to worry about a lot of the frustration that kind of comes along with it. Now, the cool thing here is, like I said, is we are just listening as well. So if you hear somebody make a radio call or something, you definitely want to, I'm actually going to turn my volume up a little bit here just in case somebody does. And one of the cool things about the vPilot client is people can actually send you text messages, or not text messages, you know what I mean. They'll actually say, hey, just so you know, I'm going offline or something along those lines. And that's all going to actually show up there. So you always want to have this thing kind of handy, so that you kind of know that it's on there. But again, like I said, this is the actual network. Everything I'm doing is perfectly fine. I haven't cheated. I haven't done things out of procedure. Everything is good to go here. Now, the cool thing here too, and this is what I love about VATSIM, is that's going to keep you more honest than anything. It feels like you have an audience, and in a way you actually might have an audience. One of the things I found about being kind of the YouTube producer type is what'll happen is you'll go ahead and do something like I'm doing right now, and 6 people will show up with you because they see you, and they're like, hey, that's that guy. So again, we're going to do everything correctly here. We're going to be nice and careful. We're going to make sure everything is all out of the way here. I'm going to get a plane all lined up. We're not going to cross any lines. You're going to do everything correct, so just like you would normally do. Of course, what did we forget? We forgot the also critical beacon light there. All right, so I'll leave that one. Actually, we'll hit them both, kind of a thing like that. Landing lights are going to come on. We're going to go ahead and get our mixture back to the correct position here. This is good to go. Air conditioning's technically on. We're going to dump the cabin pressure because we don't need it. We're basically going to be ripping around, kind of a thing like that. All right, go ahead and reset all that. Give that a tap. Okay, good. Looking good to me. All right, so now we would make our next call, and that's basically announcing our intention. So our intention here is take off 27, enter into left downwind for 27, and then re-land the plane. So we're basically going to announce that. So after, again, confirming 100 times, again, treat this just like the real world. Is there another airplane out there that could potentially run into us? We want to be careful with that, and we always want to consider that carefully. Wyndham traffic, Beach Red 64 is holding short of 27 on Alpha, taking off runway 27 into a left downwind for 27 Wyndham. That's it. That's everything I said we would do, and that's everything we're going to do. So with that out of the way, I'm going to look 5 more times to make sure there's nobody coming. That looks good to me. I'm going to go ahead and reduce that. I'm going to bring in a click of flaps here. Again, I'm treating this just like I would in the real world in the sense that I'm going to get as much runway as I can. Brakes on this thing or something else. Get ourselves all nice and lined up here. There's one little thing I like to do too, especially if I'm going to be doing closed traffic. And again, we're on VATSIM right now, and nothing bad is happening, and I can't say that enough. All right, so we're going to line ourselves up with this direction, which is going to be our desired heading. We're going to do one last check. Gas, undercarriage, mixed propel, flaps, light, speed. Looks pretty good to me. Go ahead and apply half throttle here. Give this thing a moment to kind of spin up, and off we go. Yeehaw! Now again, treat everything as if you were doing this in the real world. And again, obviously, remember, it's still simulated, so you can relax a little. 60 knots, there's 70, 80 knots. Lift the nose up. So one of the things you can do is you probably notice as soon as it got in the air, did you see how this thing turned on automatically? One of the things we want to do is make sure it's the correct frequency there. So I'm actually going to come over there and dial that into 1200. That is a little detail that for some reason the thing keeps resetting. That's okay. So now all we have to do is do our normal work. If we wanted to get real specific here, we can go ahead and make our specific announcements here. Wyndham traffic, Beach 64 is left crosswind for 27 Wyndham. And all we're doing is letting them know that exactly what our current position is and kind of what we're trying to do here. So we enjoy a nice left turn here onto crosswind. Like I said, we're about 1,000 feet, not 1,000 feet, about 200 feet to go. And again, you can see everything's all set here. I'm going to start reducing my throttle. We don't need this much climb. There we go. We're going to level off, and we're going to go right into the downwind. Wyndham traffic, Beach Red 64 is left downwind for 27 Wyndham. That's it. I just announced my position. Everything's in the correct, like I said. Relax. Nothing's a problem. I'm just going to enjoy a nice gentle turn here. Again, this is a very fast airplane. You would never fly this fast in a traffic pattern. This would be downright disrespectful. But that's okay. Like I said, as long as we keep to the correct altitudes and creep to the proper options, there's very, very little that we need to worry about. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get my landing gear down now. There's our left downwind. You can see lovely Wyndham Airport right off our wing there. Oh, man, does this thing slow down when you drop those wheels. Again, fly the plane. I'm going to bring in a click of flaps. I'll come to my left a little bit here. Well, of course, that's okay. And, all right, we are ready for a descent. So I'm going to start letting the nose come down. Again, like I said, everything's going fine. This is just flying the plane like you've always done 100 times in this game. Nothing unusual, except that we do need a little bit more power. That'll fix right away. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and take our left. We'll go ahead and announce it. Wyndham traffic, Beechcraft Red 64 is left base for runway 27 Wyndham. Again, that's all I had to do. Quick little announcement. Now I'm taking my left turn here and I'm getting ready to bring us on to final. Go ahead and crouch down here. Everything's looking pretty good. And a little far out again. We're a pretty fast aeroplane, so we're going to come down a little bit slower here. Approach speed's going to be relatively low too because we're just so lightweight today. Going right off that left wing, looking pretty good. Again, everything's fine. We're still on their server. You could even take the half a second to actually watch us kind of tool around here. Like if I open this up, there we are. Isn't that cool? Whoop. See, that's what happens when you play with the internet instead of flying the airplane. All right, come on down here. Looking pretty good. I need a little bit more power. Getting a little sinky here. That looks good right there. Wyndham traffic, Beechcraft Red 64, short final for 27 Wyndham. That's it. We've made our next announcement. That is the last announcement we have to make. Now, technically, we could have called final instead of short final, but that's okay. So now your responsibility, ironically, is just to land the plane. That's all you have to do. All right, looking pretty good. Airspeed's a little high for us. Down a little bit slower. Gas, undercarriage, mixed to propeller, flaps, lights, and speed. Everything is all set. We're coming in. If we needed to, we could do one more call here, just letting everybody know that we're short, but that's okay. Speed is good. We're a little tiny bit high. In the real world, there's a big, basically a dike. You can actually see it. That's what that kind of sandy look is. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. Speed's good. That's what I call the Zen part of flying. You just have to feel it. Nice. Go ahead, easy on the brakes here. Remember, you're still on VATSIM. Nothing has ended here. Go ahead, easy on the brakes, easy on the brakes. If you have landing lights, I'm going to go ahead and hit the switch for that. Go ahead and pop those off. Looks good, looks good. And we're going to go ahead and clear the runway. When you clear the runway, you always want to announce that. So that's just kind of a generous thing. Window traffic, red 64, clear of runway 27 window. And that's it. So now, of course, we do all of our normal stuff as far as a shutdown and all those other components. We don't want to shut down here, though. We just want to confirm there's no traffic coming the other way, which there's not. And then we just make our traffic announcement to let people know what we're doing. Window traffic, red 64 is taxiing via Alpha to the ramp window. And that's it. Those are all my transmissions. That is everything I needed to do. We can just kind of relax. Like I said, we got our little landing there. Could have been a little bit smoother there, but that's okay. Kind of feeling out the last couple inches, as I like to kind of say. Again, it feels so weird coming to Wyndham because you're landing uphill. So if you've been landing flat or you've been landing wide this whole time, man, is it an interesting optical illusion. Now, some people say, where do you park? You park anywhere you need to park. Because again, if there's no other planes online at the given time, you don't really have to worry about it that much. So we go ahead and swing around this way. I'll go ahead and bring ourselves in. Looks like a pretty good spot there. I would try not to park towards the grass because that means I have to push the plane out. But I guess I'll do what everybody else has done here. Go ahead and tap that a few times. And now we are all set. When you're done with your first flight, all you have to do now is press the disconnect button. Now, the crazy thing is, if I open this up real quick, now this is our map. If I hold my mouse there, you can actually see my lopsided traffic pattern here. You can see where I got distracted looking at the map. But you have done everything actually on VATSIM. You've made all the correct calls. Everything was perfectly smooth. There was no weirdness at all. And when you're ready, you just press disconnect. That's it. That's as hard as it is to operate inside this incredible experience, which is that network. Now, the cool thing here is you can basically just go through the motions of shutting your plane down. When all those things are all off and you're all disengaged and you can relax, take a deep breath in, deep breath out. That's all there was to it. Next time what we'll do is we will do a cross-country flight, and we will do it in uncontrolled airspace to show you what it's like when you have to get somewhere and you're still afraid to talk to those lovely people over at the VATSIM control. Enjoy.